I am here with my sister, Tracie Guy Decker. Yes, hyphen.
And I'm here with my sister, Emily Guy Birkin. No hyphen.
And together we are doing Lightbringers, where we illuminate the deeper meaning of the crime-solving devil TV show. And you bet your sweet Bippy, we are overthinking it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we do.
So much overthinking. So today we're talking about two of the episodes I have seen more than any other. 403 and 404, O Ye of Little Faith, Father, and All About Eve. I'm so excited to talk about these episodes. So I know you've got kind of a major complaint. Do we want to start with that, or do we want to start with like the good stuff?
No, let's start with with Father Kinley and all of the webs of deception in O Ye of Little Faith, Father, because there's the dramatic irony, which I talk about all the time, is something I particularly enjoy. Dramatic irony in that episode is pretty intense, with what we know, that no one in the whole cast knows all of what we know, which is kind of cool, with the way that Father Kinley is trying to deceive Lucifer while Chloe is also keeping things from him. So that's sort of an interesting, let's start there.
Well, and then what Father Kinley is also keeping from his superior, the Monsignor, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what his rank is.
Lieutenant Governor. I don't really know.
Grandmaster, Wizard, Pokemon.
In the Catholic Church. But
trainer.
So, and then what he's keeping from the man he activated as the murderer, Oscar Rivas, who I feel so bad for that guy, even though it was awful that he was willing to kill innocent people without proof that they were not innocent. And the thing is, like, what they were accused of was just backsliding on drug use
and stealing.
How is that?
Yeah. I don't, and it's unclear to me whether or not he actually believes that. Yeah. That's what he tells Lucifer, because that was, it's unclear to me whether or not Rivas actually believes that they were guilty of those things. That was part of the deception, was that they were punished for backsliding. That had to be part of the deception.
Well, that they were irredeemable. Yeah.
But whether or not that Oscar actually believed that. I mean, he may have thought of it the same way. It's unclear to me whether or not he was in on the whole plan. I mean, he may have genuinely believed, as Father Kinley did, that these were unfortunate, necessary sacrifices to the greater good.
Yeah. I did notice on this rewatch that now, unfortunately, we're getting to the stretch of episodes where the first
person they interview is the dead one.
Interview
is the
turns out to be
killer.
The murderer. Yeah. So 40-minute show. I'll give it to them. It's not a big deal. But I noticed on this rewatch that when they are interviewing Oscar, he says to Lucifer, "I want to make sure that you punish the person who did this."
He says, "Promise me."
Promise me. Yes.
And he looks Lucifer in the eye when he says it.
Yeah. So, and knowing that it's himself, I'm like, ooh, wow. Yeah. Yikes. So he knew Kinley's plan, that this was an attempt to get Lucifer to show his face. Maybe because I'm a Pollyanna, I was thinking like he was convinced to do it because he thought these people were irredeemable. But now that you say that, I'm like, no, it would make more sense if he was just in on it, which is so despicable.
I mean, that's the way I read it, because Kinley says about him he was a good man. He was a good man. He was a true believer, and he did what was necessary.
Yeah.
So,
right.
because frankly, a true believer would not accept that someone was trash, that a human being was irredeemable. I mean, that just doesn't align with who he was supposed to have been. So, serving in a parish in El Salvador that served folks who were, off the path that the church thought they should be on. It just doesn't align. It makes more sense psychologically to me.
Yep. Yeah.
That he was in on it, had drunk the Kool-Aid, and thought that this was for the greater good.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. This is me being too much of an optimist. So that and his method of suicide.
Oh my God.
God.
I have not watched this as many times as you have. But that I was like, oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. I skipped that. I skipped
awful.
that.
It's so awful.
Yeah. Because I don't even know how they did it. The effects.
I don't want to know.
Like, oh yeah. So, but that's like the layers upon layers that Kinley has going. And when Chloe realizes, like, you're not actually being,
it's not sanctioned,
part of the Vatican. This isn't sanctioned. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. This is your own personal vendetta. It kind of makes a lot of things make sense about the character and his motivations and why he's willing to be so Machiavellian in getting whatever.
Yeah. That actor does an awesome job too. Like, really, really believe like the cold calculating, but also that he's a good act. Like the Father Kinley's a good actor in Lucifer's presence. Even like small things like Lucifer touches him on the shoulder, and as he walks away, he's like, like brushes his shoulder. Yeah. And there are like moments too that like Lucifer puts out a cigarette in like a baptismal font or something. And it's very subtle, but I did read the disgust in Kinley from the actor's delivery of just being in the presence of that happening. It was, he's a good actor.
The other moment that was just phenomenal was in the jail cell when his superior comes to take his confession. And says to him, breaks it to him that he's been excommunicated. The way that like his face freezes and then like it falls in a way where it's like, I cannot show how much this is bothering me. And it's just, I'm way to go, Graham McTavish. You're awesome.
Yeah.
You're a really good actor.
Yeah. And that's the moment we get the actual prophecy, which has been referenced before, but we haven't heard it yet. So the prophecy is that when the devil walks the earth and meets his first love, evil shall be released. So I think that's really interesting that we get that too, because we will see that happen, but specifically because of Kinley's efforts to avoid it, which is so satisfying as a viewer.
It's the Macbeth satisfaction of things.
It is totally the Macbeth satisfaction of things. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you just left well enough alone, none of this would have happened, McKinley. Kinley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although that's in the future.
But that's in the future. I will say, I wish they'd spent a little more time on the prophecy because the wording just doesn't sound like, so you've got the, like, we were talking about the vial last week and how it's, it's the sacred vial.
Well, it's interesting that it was like about the size of a plum.
Yeah.
And then Lucifer calls it a plum vial for the rest of the show. But like, who uses a plum as a unit of measure?
I mean, did Kinley used to do oncology? That's what he is. Or like pregnancy stuff? Because that's the only other place where you measure things by fruit.
To be fair, in the Hebrew scriptures, like there's a lot of halakha that's like, how much matzah do you have to eat on Passover? About the size of an olive. Like that is actually a unit of measure. fruits and vegetables, not plums specifically.
Not plums.
But
yeah,
it stood out to me this time.
Yeah,
the size of a plum. So especially because I just recently had a bunch of plums and they were different sizes and bigger than that vial, frankly.
Yeah. So the thing with the prophecy is it felt like the language should have been more. And now some of this is my older kid he really likes fantasy novels that feature a prophecy. Like that is his genre. And so and he is very much into the rhyming prophecies, which I'm not going for that. I don't want it to be rhyming necessarily.
Well, especially because it wouldn't have been written in English.
Yes.
And rhymes don't translate.
No. But it just seems too straightforward. You know, it just, I don't know. I just wish they'd spend a little more time to make it a little bit more like, you know, if we're going to have the holy hand grenade and the sacred plum vial, can we have the flowery prophecy too?
Yeah.
Just so anyway.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the superior's response at the end, where he's like, even if you're right, how do you know? Mm-hmm. How do we know that Chloe's his first love? Like, you know, he has been around for how many thousands of years?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Right.
Which and the that priest doesn't actually believe that Lucifer Morningstar is the devil.
Right.
You know, he's just poking holes.
Right.
Just like making sure, like, can you please recognize how ridiculous you're being?
Well, and also in the storytelling, like then Kinley could say, well, who else could it be? So that we would be answering that question so that we would think, and then they gave us the other clues with the fact that she wanted an apple.
Appletini. And then there was a thing of apples next to her.
Mm-hmm. So they also did that so that we could come along with them as they introduced
yes
the first.
And that was really good writing. Like I really appreciated how they did that.
It was.
So you want to overthink Eve's name?
I do because it wasn't Eve. This is a classic like translation issue. Actually with pronouns. So you think that confusion around pronouns is recent. It ain't. Like, I won't go into all of the details because it gets really deep in the weeds, but her name was Chaya because she was the mother of all living. Chaya, like Chai, like Chaim, life.
Yeah.
Her name was Chaya. And then at one point it talks about her, and some scribe put the word for the male pronoun, which is, and wrote it. And of course there are no vowels in the text. And somebody else was like, it shouldn't be male, it should be female. So they put the vowel under it for the female pronoun, but it still had the consonants for the male pronoun. So it became heave. If you read it with the vowels and the pronouns as written. And then that became Eve. So it's a typo. The name Eve is a typo. It is not a name. It is a weird conglomeration of the male and female pronouns, third person pronouns in ancient Hebrew. It ain't a name. She would never have gone by Eve. And neither would the archangel have gone by Lucifer. Like we did that overthinking back in the first, in the first season. And so, whatever, but it just also, who else could it have been? Lilith came before Eve or Chaya. Lilith was first. And if you accept the Lilith apocrypha, which this show does, she predates Eve. So, and she definitely had a relationship with the devil, which I'll get into even more when we meet her. But this whole, like, who else could it be? There were at least two other options. And Eve is not the first one. In fact, I was telling a friend of mine who's a rabbi about this show and how much I love it. And she was like, well, why? What's so great? And I was like, well, it kind of pulls in fun stuff. And like, there's this one part where there's the prophecy about the devil's first love. And she says, oh, you mean Lilith? And I was like, well, like, it's, at least in Jewish sources, the devil's first love, no question, Lilith. So,
yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's my little, like, rabbit hole for a moment.
To continue on the rabbit hole, just the male pronoun that became Eve, and then Eve by accident. What was it referring to, and does it change the story at all?
It was referring to Chaya. That's why it got changed. So it's very from context.
So
somebody just screwed up, and they should have put a yud, the little short that's a Y, and instead they put a vav, which is the long straight line. And so it's just the wrong letter.
It's a typo.
It's a typo. It's the context is clear that it means her. Which is why but they can't change it. They can't actually change the letters. And so the Masoretes who put the vowels in for us, put in the vowel that would have been right for the yud, for the female third person pronoun. But when you read it with that vav, it says heave instead of he. It's very confusing in Hebrew. He is she, who is he, and me is who. So English to Hebrew, very confusing, but
gotcha. Okay, just the way that you'd said it, I was thinking it might have been like it was a he, and it was confusing as to who it was referring to.
No,
it's very clear who it's referring to.
My recollection is, and it only happens one time, but my recollection is that the context is pretty clear that the story means Chaya, means who we now call Eve, which is why the Masorete felt confident in saying, "Oh, it says who, but you should read it as he, and here's the vowel for he." But if you just read it and you're not making that correction, it reads as he.
That makes sense. All right. Very cool. I love it. This is what we're doing this for. This is why we have this entire channel.
Yeah.
For the overthinking.
So much overthinking.
So speaking of Eve, I would like to talk about her character, because I feel like she's got a thing that Inbar Lavi, the actress, has a thankless job. And she nails it, because like she comes in and this is the 4th season. People are very much Decker Starshippers, and she is in the way. But instead of just being like, a big block of nothing in the way like Pierce, she is this incredible, like, likable, engaging, interesting character who is both understandable why she does what she does, the way that she does things, and flawed, and just I love Eve. I love the character of Eve. I love the way that they wrote her, and the way that Inbar Lavi plays her. She is also like 150% my husband's type. And I was like trying to just get to season 4, and you can just drool. We'll drool together. And
not so much, huh? I think so much. Even more than, but maybe not even more. I agree. Lavi does a great job. And also, I think our writers did a great job, because
yes.
That, especially like Chloe isn't sure that he's devastated. She thinks he's probably fine. He's out there living it up. We see differently. He's drunk every drop of that wall of scotch in the penthouse, and has gone down to the bar to get more, and is like just in his like he's not entertaining women in the penthouse. He's just drinking himself into oblivion. He is a wreck, because she can't accept him for fully who he is. And so when Eve is like, no, I'm here for you, and he's certain she is going to reject him in the same way, because he is unlovable in his mind. And she just like doesn't avert her eyes, takes him by the either side of the face and kisses him in the devil face.
Yeah.
It is what he needed. He felt unlovable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think our writers did a really good job of like, I'm total team Deckerstar. And also like, that's what Lucy needed.
It is.
He needed someone to say, I see all of you and I'm okay
you're
with
amazing.
It.
All of you. Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that she kisses him while he
he's
still has the devil face. So it reminded me of something completely ridiculous, but have you seen Deadpool?
I haven't. Mm-mm.
Okay. So the story of Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds, who like he plays Wade Wilson, but he's actually Ryan Reynolds in every part he plays. He's in love with a woman. They're going to spend their lives together. He gets diagnosed with like horrible cancer that it's just going to boom kill him, and so he leaves. Anyway, this group wants him to try to see if they can cure his cancer, but also make him a superhero. And in doing that, they like completely mess up his face. Like he just gets ugly and gross. And so he doesn't go back to Vanessa first because he's afraid that she'll reject him. And then like he's just all kinds of stuff. At the end of the film, when they're finally back together again, he's wearing his mask, he pulls it off for her to see. And she's like, you know what? After a brief, getting used to it period, that is a face I will happily sit on. Because that's the kind of movie it is. And so it reminded me of that, where it's like, it's not about like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a remarkably handsome man. And no, he doesn't. He looks like a thumb after it's been in the water for a while. After the stuff that they do to him. And the same thing with Lucifer, where it's like, I like you. It's not about what your face looks like. Yeah. And how important that is for everyone to hear. Yeah. And the other thing I appreciate about Eve is they very easily could have made her like the sexy baby trope, because there is the naivete and the like that aspect of it, but she's not helpless, and she's not like she's enthusiastic, but she's she's helpful, and like the stuff that she wants to try are really like cool and interesting. Like, oh, I get to bash him in the balls. And so like there is some of the like sexy ingenue about her, but it's not of the like, oh, I'm so helpless. It's more of the like, I am just I'm inexperienced.
Haven't done that before.
I want to. I want to try it.
Yeah.
And like, she figured out a way to get to Los Angeles from the dusty old tomb she woke up in.
Right. Which is remarkable. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's always been kind of a rule breaker.
Yeah. All
so
right.
I just so appreciate because there are so many ways that this could have gone misogynistically.
Yes.
And it does not.
Okay. I want to talk about Lauren German's performance, and then I think we should move on to the other episode. So specifically when they finally like get to the heart of the matter, and he's like, why are you lying to me and whatever. And they have that sort of confrontation, and she, why, how could you do this to me? And her response is, because I'm terrified. And she sort of barks it. There's something about that scene that doesn't read to me. And it's not the dialogue. The dialogue, I think, is good. And I don't know if it's because I know, like, we talked offline about the fact that there are a bunch of people who speculate about what kind of work she had done between seasons. And in general, I don't want to talk about her appearance in that way, but I wonder if she lost some nuance in her facial expression because of whatever, if in fact she had that work done, because it doesn't hang together for me. And in the future, there's another episode in the future when she again is like, I'm not falling apart. We'll talk about it when we get there, but that one really upsets me because it just doesn't work. But this one is along with when we spoke last time about her recoil, they're both overacted and underacted at the same time. Yeah. And I don't know how to I don't quite know how to articulate it, but that's it. It's overacted in the, maybe in the volume and underacted in the nuance. I think that's the way I'm going to articulate what bothers me about German's performance in those moments. And I don't think it's the dialogue, although I'm a words person. And so maybe I'm being more generous with the words but I don't know. It's just something about that moment. And again, we said it last time, Ellis is such an actor of subtlety, Well, the look on his face and the tears in his eyes that have not fallen are and even the way that he says, when she says, I don't know. And he says, I guess I have my answer. There's something that I just believe.
It's just heartbreaking.
And I don't believe her delivery. And it's not that I don't believe the words, because I believe that she's terrified and doesn't know what to think and all of these messages, but she the things she says, I believe, but her delivery, I just didn't believe. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry to those who aren't German fans who might be watching.
Yeah. She has her strengths. And I think as the show went on, it got a little further and further away from her strengths.
Yes, I agree. Because I really bought her as the hard-boiled, completely repressed, emotionally repressed cop. I bought her as that, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
That worked for me. It's these moments where she needs to actually tap into emotion that I just don't.
We struggle.
I don't see it.
We struggle with them.
I don't see it.
So I do want to talk about, in that, because we've kind of been back and forth between episodes, but in Ye of Little Faith Father, we were talking before we started recording about Linda's advice to Lucifer in that episode that really bothers me. So she was saying okay, you think that she has betrayed you, and if you accuse her, you can't unring that bell. That's good advice. That is true. So just as in a marriage, if you say you cheated on me, you can't.
And Linda says that.
Unsay it. But she then said, so feel her out gently. And it's just well, no, that doesn't make sense. And that's not good advice. Instead, it would make more sense to be look, I need to talk to you about something. A man named Father Kinley reached out to me and has said that you have been in touch with each other and I don't understand what's going on. Can you help me understand? And being straightforward about it is what an actual therapist would recommend, I believe. And so now the feel it out is what you need, what the story needed. Okay. But
but they don't, they never are stuck by that because he never follows her advice. He never follows her advice. He always twists it into what he wants to do. So, if she had said don't accuse her, but just ask her, what's up with this? And he had said, feel her out. That's right. Plays a way to catch the king or whatever the line is in Hamlet, because that's ultimately what he does is the try to, you're Anders Brody in this scenario.
Yeah. Well, and even what's this? It's perfume. I've drunk something worse, instead of saying look, I know what this is, and that's, it's an odd moment. There's one other that, we've talked about, and we'll get to it later, that I'm really upset at the showrunners for, because I think that it's badly, serves people who actually deal with that particular mental health issue. We'll get there. But this is another one where I'm this is bad advice. Whereas normally it seems like they are putting good advice in Linda's mouth. So, but I do want to talk about Linda has a house.
Yeah, because in the first season, she and Lucifer were doing it in her office in a pull-out couch.
On like a sofa bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, and
well, my
you know,
headcanon on that is that she had been like staying in the office while she and Reese were getting divorced. And now that he's dead, like the house is hers.
Oh, you think it was,
That's my headcanon.
That's interesting. Okay. Just because it feels like what's interesting too is like the house feels like a Linda house. Like,
and
you know, I could see
it's also very LA to me. It feels very LA.
That's true. That's true. It is very LA. That, so we talked last time about how the director Sherwin Shalati does such a good job. He directed All About Eve, which is the one where we see Linda's house for the first time. And there are two moments that I want to point out, which is they come back from seeing the doctor. It's the first time, or well, not necessarily the doctor, but the ultrasound tech. It's the first time that we've actually seen Linda's house, and Amenadiel is just excited, like, we're having a boy, I can't wait to teach him all kinds of things. And like you see her stand and stare up at the ceiling fan, and you see the ceiling fan like turning. It's this really cool effect, and you know exactly what she's thinking. And that, nope. So like that, it's just really well done visual storytelling.
Yeah, it really is.
The other thing that old Sherwin did nicely is that
that fight scene
in the bar in Dalton's place with that song. I love that song. It's something like riding a lightning bolt is like the chorus. And oh my goodness, it's just so fun.
The music in these two episodes actually was really good. When we meet Eve, it's Portishead Temptress, which is was for me.
Yeah.
That took me right back to college.
Yeah. Well, and the like the introduction of her, like panning over. Now I can't like overthinking it. I'm like, with the bartender, when he's saying, you sure you don't want to stay? Like, it's rocking tonight. It's, you know, we're like, well, why on earth would I want to do that? And he looks over, and we're supposed to believe he could see Eve from all the way over in the bar in that huge crowded room. I don't know. I don't know if that's what we're supposed to believe, or if he was just kind of like, in general, there's lots of hot women here.
I think it was specifically her. She was sort of the center of.
She was. But the way that they pan over everything, and then the way that they, that pause, and then like all of a sudden she's jumping up and down,
because the tempo changes. The tempo changes halftime, and then all of a sudden it comes back up to normal speed. That's pretty.
And the choreography of that,
it's beautiful.
It's just really, really well done.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Although, an overthinking. Is it really cold in Lucifer's penthouse? Because like 2 minutes later, she's like no sweat whatsoever.
Yeah.
So also, how did that white dress stay so nice for like at least 48 hours
longer? Yeah, because the implication is she had woken up with it.
Yeah,
which I don't think it would have survived 5,000 years or whatever.
Did you think? Because I didn't think that she'd necessarily woken up with it.
I
figured she figured out a way to get it, because those red heels definitely.
She definitely did not wake up with the red heels. That's true.
Yeah.
I interrupted you talking about the choreography of the bar fight. Which I think it was remarkable and beautiful, and used a lot of actually that same sort of like slow motion, like, and then up to, and just the way that they have the choreography of Tom Ellis as Lucifer kind of just like easily like bobbing and weaving out of the way of like chairs and pull cues and punches and things. It was pretty cool. I mean, it was
and
gorgeous.
they all the extras get in on it too. So like, there's a guy who at one point he just brushes glass off of himself.
He's sitting at the bar. Yeah, I saw him,
and he's just like, oh.
And the bartender like cleaning the bar, and then the waitress who like stops somebody who's gonna hit Eve, and then gives her
they're like, girl power, you know, like. And then also all through that with Eve's reaction, which is just like, I feel you, sister. feel exactly the same way watching Lucifer do all this.
Yeah.
Particularly since he's doing it specifically for her.
Yeah.
Because he was not going to fight until someone tried to take her.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I feel that. Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
and even the way that it ends, where we hear Chloe's voice and then the thing goes through his shoulder.
And then hello, detective. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I this is probably one of the episodes I've seen most often. I've come back to it again and again and again because it is just a delight. Even like little moments like the ultrasounds with Maze freaking out about the ultrasound gel.
When the gel flips toward the camera, I laughed out loud.
And then she sniffs it and licks it. Like, all right, you can continue.
Proceed.
And then when they I did, having had 2 ultrasounds that revealed I was having a boy. Like, that's not how you, like, it's not in the side view. You got to get underneath the side view, unless he's very well endowed. You're not going to see anything. Whatever.
Overthinking.
But yeah, overthinking. But when like, you're having a boy, and Maze is immediately like, better luck next time. Oh my gosh, I love this episode so much.
And the ultrasound tech, there's usually only one penis.
I was looking for the wing. Which also reminded me, do you remember this? When we first found out that we were having our eldest, and like we didn't know yet whether we were having a boy or a girl, you sent me a card saying like you were so excited, and it was the card said like 10 little fingers and 10 little toes and wings. Wings would be cool too.
I don't remember,
Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, I think I still have it somewhere. So all kinds of just great stuff in both these episodes. The first of these I don't rewatch as often because it is a little brutal. A little. Like, I definitely skip over the scene.
Oh man, the scene in the house that's owned by the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even Ella, like, I'll never eat beef kebabs again. I'm like, Ella, seriously, no. I'm usually behind you on anything you have to say, but no.
Ugh.
I do want to say I need her t-shirt, the one with the unicorn and the rainbow that says heavy metal. I need that t-shirt. It must be mine. It will be mine. So
okay, I'm watching the time, and I actually have to retrieve my progeny, offspring. So I'm gonna say any final things that you have to say about All About Eve.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think we're good.
Fluff. What fluff do you have?
Fluff. Oh my gosh, I had something and it's gone.
Well, we both noticed before we hit record that when Lucifer is falling apart, there are friggin' holes in his sock. He's walking around in just his underwear and the robe and socks. And you could see his toes.
Yeah, you could see his toes peeking out.
Well done, costumer. We noticed.
Yes. Oh, I know. Another fluff. When they were talking about, to Bashir, like, we're not a couple, but we used to be. You know, you might have read about it in the Bible.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't really an apple, it was more of a banana.
Right.
And so I know that they're not actually talking about fruit, but I'm going like, the modern Cavendish banana has only been around for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
There was no such fruit thousands of years ago.
Right.
We had to cross-pollinate things,
genetically
and stuff like that
engineer it.
Genetically engineer the current banana,
which is in jeopardy.
Used to be banana was full of seeds. Yeah. So I know that. That's not the point.
Yeah, that wasn't what they were talking about.
But
I mean, she could have said it was an eggplant based on today's emoji language. So, she wasn't talking about it.
I know. It was just like, I like this, but also, apples didn't exist then either, so.
I read that it was maybe more like a quince, which I don't even know what that is. So who knows?
Who knows? So that's my overthinking it. Although, the very large banana, it's true.
And then Bashir is like, I have no idea what you two are talking about.
Also, I kind of like Bashir. He's just like the concierge of crime, and he's just like, I just want to, sit in the sauna or not the sauna. He's in the hot tub, drinking mojitos and offering olives to anybody who comes by. He's just giving his wife expensive necklaces,
living his best life.
I mean, yeah, he does. He does beat people up, but
he doesn't kill them. So
he doesn't kill them. Yeah. No shooting anybody without my permission first. Also, it was Toby Golden and Pablo Silva made Golden Silva Jewelers, which is, I think, either like brilliant or awful.
It's brilliant.
There's no in between.
I'm going with brilliant. Oh, you know what else? Okay, so one more overthinking it moment. When Dan just like struts into the Los Exes HQ, and they're like, whatever, they're talking smack and stuff, and then they start speaking in Spanish, and he looks kind of confused, and I was like, doesn't Dan speak Spanish?
Does he? Oh, yeah, he does. I mean, they've made that clear before.
I thought that was a little bit odd. He's just like, or maybe he wasn't confused, but he just kind of had this like, I don't know. That moment, like I was waiting for him to speak Spanish back, and it didn't come.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed that didn't happen.
Yeah.
In that scene, he just
in that particular moment.
Yeah, just in that moment, like I was waiting for Dan Esposito to come back with Spanish, but
Espinoza.
Thank you. Espinoza. I knew it didn't sound right.
Espinoza.
I knew it didn't sound right.
So one other thing, they used an actual phone number for Dan's number for the Chewbacca challenge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I noticed because
it wasn't a 555 number?
555 number always takes me out. Like it immediately takes me out of the show. And this, I was looking at it, like looking for the 555. I'm like, that's not a 555. Like that's a real phone number. Like, yes, I love it. Like, I wonder if I call it, what would happen?
Maybe you'll get a Chewbacca recording.
Or maybe I could leave a Chewbacca message. I don't know.
That's pretty funny. All right, I really got to go. So I'm not.
Yeah, go pick up your child.
Elementary school pickup. Man.
Yes.
It's rough out there.
It's rough out there in these streets.
I'm telling you. See you next week.
See you next week.